right. Welcome, everybody. If anybody's out there, just give me a sound check. Sound check. I think it's okay. Welcome, everybody, to Can Hammer TV. It is June 12th, a mere, supposedly, 12 days from the release of 10th edition. Of course, everything is coming out. We should basically be able to play before the game actually comes out. But not yet, because we don't have points and we don't have GT missions. But we're starting to get data sheets, and today, whether intentionally or unintentionally, we have some Custodes data sheets to go over, which I think we were going to get like tomorrow or the day after anyway. But anyway, gives us something to talk about. Today I was lounging in the spa, as one does on a Monday, and I was waiting for my wife, so I got my phone out and boom! The Discord was blowing up, and that usually means there's something, and indeed, data sheets were leaked for some of our Codex units. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, Codex data sheets. Now, keep in mind, we are still missing some data sheets. We're missing the captains, for example, which is kind of key right now because we want to see what they bring to these infantry units. We are missing all our vehicles, and we are missing all of Forge World. But we have some rumors about that. We're going to talk about them at the end. So there's still a lot we don't know. We don't have any points. And of course, the context for points may be completely different. And yeah, so take it for what it is. These are data sheets in isolation in the wild with no context, but we will definitely discuss. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming and joining. We got Adam Davies had to go to a meeting. Too bad, Adam, but you can catch us later. We got Sean Stryker, he's here, Matt Riley, Lay Thurgood, and Sychronos. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to put up a Q&A so people can ask questions as we go. And feel free. I was going to put out a poll, but I've decided that I'm not going to put out a poll because there's no point. Okay. So, before we get started, we'll just talk about CCBB. CCBB is just over 2 months away. We have 70 people so far for Warhammer 40k, so plenty of space. I think there's probably a proportion of people who are waiting to see how 10th pans out before registering, which is fair enough. But whether good or bad, we're going with it. So, don't wait too long to get your tickets. We have 20 people registered for AOS. That's about half. And I think the new General's Handbook is coming out. So maybe people are waiting for that. And we have 12 out of 20 teams for 40k doubles. And these people are all in for doubles action. So we're over half full on doubles. So don't forget to sign up if you're interested in coming. ccbb.ca for all your information, as well as links to all the events, and you sign up for all the Warhammer events on BCP. Just look for capital City but bad. Okay, that's all I'm going to do about that. Let's just get right into it with the first sheet, and let's talk about our base battle line unit, the Custodian Guard. All right. So here is the Guardians. Now, there were rumors floating around last week or 2 weeks ago that Guardians were going to get some kind of hold objective ability within 9 inches, like once a game. There was also rumors about what the shield would do. Was it just like a normal storm shield, give you +1 wound, or was this something a bit more spicy? And what would the Guardian Vexilla be? Would it be the same as the Alaris Vexilla, or would it be different? Because right now we have 3 different kinds of Vexilla, so were they just all going to be the same, or would they be different depending on the unit? And all those questions have been answered. So the Custodian Guard, if we look at stat line, is what we'd expect. So T6 because Alaris were T7. 2+ save, 3 wounds, 6+ leadership, and 2 OC. So they're not a little bit higher because they're battle line. They are the same as everybody else. So that's an expected stat line. Nothing too crazy going on there. There were some people who thought they might get an extra wound, but I think that was probably pretty unlikely. So the spear we already seen before. So here is the new and improved Sentinel Blade. Is it improved though? So it is basically exactly the same as the spear shooting, except it is half the range, and it is assault as well, but also a pistol. So you can shoot it in combat. I guess it's pretty good. 2 shots, hitting on 2s, 4, -1, 2 damage. So can't really complain about the sword shooting. Of course, it's the same gun on the sword, I believe, and it's also a pistol, so that's kind of nice. Okay, here's where it starts to fall apart a little bit. So, Guardian Spear in combat, we already know is a pretty good profile. Strength 7, -2, 2 damage. Okay, 5 attacks. So, of course, we went up to 5 attacks on the spear, only 4 from the axes. So, that's pretty nice. And then here we have the Misericordia profile, which again is probably if you take a Vexilla, although we haven't seen that yet to be confirmed. And here is the first disappointment, which is the Sentinel Blade in combat. 5 attacks, so again we get the extra attack, which I guess is okay. 2 up, strength 6, -2, 1 damage. So that is basically a Misericordia with 1 extra strength. It's pretty not great. Certainly disappointing that the damage is so low. It's basically the same as a Misericordia. Yeah. Okay, so a bit disappointed with the Sentinel Blade. And so the question then is, well, does the Storm Shield make that loss of output worthwhile? And so if we skip the rest for now and go straight to Presidium Shield, add 1 to wounds. So you get +1 wounds, so your Guardians become 4 wounds. And so basically you're be killing half the amount of stuff, and but you have an extra wound. So yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see if there's a stratagem for the swords. We'll see what leaders can bring to these units. Of course, we have no idea what shield captains do. So there's still a lot to see, and we'll have to see how much. I mean, we paid a premium for shields and for the sword and board guard, right? We paid a premium for them in the current edition. So I really want to know what this points is happening on these Guardians. Like, is it just 35 points regardless what you take? Which then also kind of maybe makes an argument, but just taking it in and of itself, the sword profile just in isolation is a little bit disappointing. So, but we'll have to see. There's still a lot unknown. Okay, so the rest of the profile, so they get Deep Strike as well. So we weren't sure. So Alaris gets Deep Strike because they're Terminators. Trajan gets it because he needs to be able to join the Terminators, so therefore he gets Deep Strike. But now we see that the Guardians also have Deep Strike, and we're going to see later our other units. So it looks like many of our units are just getting core Deep Strike, which is kind of cool. Martial Kata, of course. So here is their all the time ability called Stand Vigil. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, re-roll a 1 to wound, and if they're within range of a controlled objective marker, so if you're within an objective marker that you control, you can re-roll all wounds. So free wound re-rolls without Trajan on Guardians, which is really, really nice, especially if you control an objective. And so that's super good. That is a great buff to the Guardians, who really had no special abilities before this. In the current edition, they don't have anything. They're just like the basic guys. So that's cool. Okay, and then Sentinel Storm is there once per battle. You can shoot twice. And you can shoot whatever you want twice. So you don't have to shoot the same target. There's no restrictions on it. You can just shoot again. So that's cool because, you know, the shooting is pretty good. And so it's nice to be able to double shoot. Yeah. So that's cool. And then, of course, their Vexilla, again, adds 1 to the OC. So I think that confirmed that we're not getting different kinds of Vexillas. Maybe we'll get a strat or something. But all the Vexillus is just war gear, giving us +1 OC, which people have been arguing online, will we ever take it? Because if we're in a small unit, one guy losing their weapons, although in this case, I mean, dropping from a Sentinel Blade to a Misericordia is not that big a loss. So if you have like 3 or 4 dudes whose only purpose is to hold an objective and survive, you could put sword and board. That would be more wounds. They turn one into a Vexilla for OC3. So you basically, in 3 guys, you've gained an extra guy's worth of OC basically. So I think there's an argument for taking OC on sword and board Guardian unit that's just sitting on objectives. On a unit you want to kill stuff, you're losing a guy in a small unit, and in a big unit, you're going to kill that unit anyway. So yeah, so I think the Vexilla will be, I don't know, it'll be situational. Okay, so overall, pretty nice. Of course, what we don't know, of course, as we already talked about, is how much they're going to cost. But Guardians seem to have done pretty well. And of course, they are battle line, which probably doesn't really help us that much, but they are our battle line. Okay. Let's switch this over and talk about these guys. So, the Wardens. Okay, so Wardens. Wardens are basically Guardian profile. So 6 toughness, 2+ save, 3 wounds, 6 leadership, and 2 OC. They have axe and spear, as we've already talked about. Axe and spear melee, as we've already talked about. And no special keywords, just Warden. They also have deep strike. So again, that's pretty sweet for Wardens to get deep strike as well. We always used to have to pay for that. So that is pretty nice. And martial kata. Okay, so here are the Warden's abilities. So all the time, resolute will. While a character is leading this unit, each time an attack targets them, if the strength is greater than the toughness characteristic of this unit, which is 6 presumably, then -1 to wound. So that's pretty sweet. So -1 to wound them with stuff that's going to wound them on 3s. That's pretty cool. And stuff that wounds on 2s will wound them on 3s. I mean, that's really good. That's really good. And everything else below that is wounding them on 4s or 5s anyway. So yeah, so Wardens, which are currently hot right now in big bricks, still looking good with the resolute will. This obviously mandates that you lead every unit of Wardens with a character. So yeah, but these guys are looking pretty sweet there. And they're living fortress once per battle at the start of any phase. This unit can basically get a 4-up, feel no pain. That's pretty sweet. A 4-up, feel no pain, not just against mortals, because we have that already, but a 4-up, feel no pain for everything sure beats their 6-up, feel no pain. Of course, they don't have 6-up, feel no pain all the time anymore, which is a loss. So that must be pointed out. That would obviously save you some models here and there. So losing that does hurt, but to once a game when you really need it, you probably subtract 1 from the wound roll, a 4-up invuln, and then 4-up feel no pain. I mean, shit, that's basically cutting damage in half, right? So, yeah, that's pretty sweet. So together, a lead unit, and we don't know what the captains do again, -1 to wound against stronger weapons, and a 1-time 4-up feel no pain. That's pretty cool. I'm liking these Wardens, especially in big bricks. I think they're going to be pretty hard to shift. They're not battle line, but yeah, I'm liking these guys. Really good. Did anyone else also notice that actually, I don't know if it says this on the back of the data sheets or whatever, but there's no whatever, what are slots anymore, like elites and fast attack or whatever. There's battle line and then there's everyone else. I don't know if we've already been previewed what's up with that, but anyway, yeah. So, Wardens, looking pretty sweet. I don't think there's too much more to say about them for now. now let's talk about Henry, the Blade Champion. Okay, so the Blade Champion currently is pretty hit or miss. It's like a guy who seems like he should do everything and kill lots of things, and sometimes he does, and sometimes he does very little. He seems like he's a force multiplier, but often not really, and he's kind of expensive, a little bit expensive, and so I tried to like the Blade Champion a number of times that I tried to use him, but I just never liked him enough to even paint him. So, will the Blade Champion be something we can use in 10th? Well, let's see. So the Blade Champion is a character and a leader. So that is something, and he's not an epic hero. So you can take multiple Blade Champions. And so his profile. So he moves 6, T6, 2+ save, 6 wounds, 6 up leadership, and 2 OC. So pretty standard profile, except he's got more wounds being the leader. Okay, so he has no shooting at all, which he doesn't have now anyway. And his Vault Swords now. So the Vault Swords, Behemoth gains precision now, which is interesting. So if he's in a fights an attached unit, his damage could be allocated to a character in the attached unit. So 6 attacks, and he has to pick one. He has to pick one of these. 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 7, which is pretty good for anti-character, -2, 2 damage. So I actually think that's pretty good for picking out characters and attached units. I think that's pretty nice. The alternative is you hit depending on the unit, you can try and hit them with the Victus, but you got to get through the bodyguard first. So yeah, so we'll see. But so that Behemoth is cool. It was, I think the Behemoth used to be the anti-vehicle thing, or one of them was like characters and monsters. Anyway, I got the book here, but I can't be bothered to look it up. It is of little relevance in any case. So you have your character sniping, precision, Vault Swords, the Behemoth. Or that's like a decent profile, because that's 2 damage, strength 7. That's our high strength. So that's a nice profile even without the precision, and it's 6 attacks. The Hurricanus is, of course, the chaff clearing profile, and so it gets sustained 1. So it gets 9 attacks with sustained hits 1. That's pretty sweet. Hitting on 2s, 5, -1, 1 damage. So this is definitely the chaff clearing profile, 1 damage profile, 9 attacks with sustained hits. So there you go. And then the Victus is got devastating wounds, and if I remember correctly, devastating wounds means wound rolls of 6 turn the damage into mortal wounds, which is the thing under hot debate right now, because it seems like it's way too many mortal wounds. But anyway, so devastating wounds, 5 attacks, so the least number of attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, but -3 AP and 3 damage with, of course, devastating wounds, so potential there for 3 mortal wounds. So that's pretty nice too, and devastating wounds is the hotness right now. So I think actually his swords are really nice and give you a lot of flexibility and has decent profiles. So I could see Blade Champion being a leader for our units. Let's talk about what he's got. So he can deep strike as well. He's a leader. He's martial kata. Martial inspiration. When this model's leading a unit, you can re-roll advance and charge rolls made for that unit. In addition, once per battle, this model's unit is eligible to declare a charge in which it advanced. So this guy, I mean, we don't know what kind of units he can lead. Hopefully he can lead any of our units, but we don't know that yet. But he letting you re-roll advances and charges, and then giving you advance and charge once a game. So that's pretty sweet. And Legacy of Combat, so you can target this model's unit with the Heroic Intervention stratagem, which is one of the core stratagems now, for 0 CP, and you can do so even if you have already targeted a different unit with that stratagem this phase. So presumably, if you have 3 units with 3 Blade Champions, you could use Heroic Intervention strategy for free 3 times. So that's pretty sweet. Because it's a decent, still a good stratagem, and yeah, so I think that's like, why not? That's just a threat multiplier, extra movement, gets him into combat and his attached unit. I think that's excellent. So actually, I really like the Blade Champion, as people pointed out on the chat. He's now got 2-up save. I forgot that he used to not have 2-up save, so he has his 2-up save back, which makes us hopeful that Venatari also have 2-up save. Because he basically got the same pants on as the Venatari guys, right? So hopefully Venatari will also get 2-up save, but we'll see. But yeah, 4-up invuln. And so what really is going to make or break the Blade Champion is going to be his points. If he's still too expensive, then maybe you take 1. If he's competitively priced, you could see this guy leading many units and giving them basically some of the old shield host type rules. So we've seen all the shield host kind of rules kind of filter into various data sheets, and so this guy definitely, you want to be leading a unit. You don't want to run this guy solo because he loses that whole rule there. So you definitely want him to be leading a unit, and so we'll see how many points he is, but I like the Blade Champion. All right, and last but not least, maybe least, I don't know. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you like this data sheet. So this, of course, is the Virtus Praetors, the bikes. And so I didn't do my episode on bikes. But we were going to talk about the ups and downs of bikes over the years. And so this certainly seems like a down. But of course, as I've already said, we're missing points in other contexts. So if you can, I know it's difficult, hold your judgment a little bit. Although we're all doing it. But we are missing some context. So let's be hopeful. But on the surface, it looks like bikes have been brought down a little bit, and so we'll see. So, like with lots of things, they have lost some movement, which bothers me because at 12-inch movement, they now move the same speed as like wheeled bikes or like jetpack dudes, and these are like Archaeotech Jetbikes. Okay, and of course Eldar still move faster, so it really bothers me that they lost that 2 inches. It's only 2 inches, but 2 inches is 2 inches, as you say. And so, that really bothers me. I won't rant about it too much. I did say I was going to rant about it, but I won't rant about it too much. But it does bother me that they lost 2 inches of movement. It also kind of bothers me that they're on a bike and they are T6. Which they are now, but everyone else moved up to T6, so it no longer adds toughness, apparently, to be on a jet bike. And so they're only T6 instead of T7. That is a surprise. I thought they were going to be T7, and so that is a little bit not good. 2-up save, of course. 4 wounds, so we've lost our 5th wound. Now, of course, we only recently gained a 5th wound, very recently in the current edition. They were being 4 wounds forever, but that 5th wound was so key. But maybe with the lethality all going down, apparently, although in some cases might not seem like that, it goes back down to 4 wounds. But other people have been gaining wounds, so it feels bad. So they're back down to 4 wounds, 6-up leadership, OC2. So overall, I think people are unhappy with that stat line, and I guess again it's gonna depend on their points. But let's keep going. So salvo launcher, everybody wanted this to be our anti-vehicle option because it is that now, because Melta is anti-everything in the current edition. I mean, Melta in the last 6 months has just gone crazy, right? But Melta in the new edition is not that. It can take out smaller vehicles like speeders and shit like that, but it's not taking out the tough stuff. And it can take out elite infantry and stuff like that. Small monsters. So that's what the salvo is, unfortunately. It is still 24 inches, one shot only, hitting on 2s, strength 9, -2, 3 damage, no anti, nothing, no special rules. So it's a decent one shot against small vehicles and elite infantry, but that's all it is. It's not our anti-vehicle option, so we'll have to keep waiting for that. But yeah, so salvo launcher is there, and then the hurricane bolter. Now I haven't looked at the Marines, so I don't know if this is the same as a normal hurricane bolter, because it says here specifically Virtus hurricane bolter. Of course, is only 18 inches of range now instead of 24. And it rapid fires then at only 9-inch range instead of 12-inch. And it is only 6 shots with rapid fire instead of 12. So it lost a whole bunch of shots, half the shots. And it is the same. Strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage, which to be honest is what we expected. So if we lost 6 inches of range and we lost half the number of shots. So that's definitely also doesn't feel very good. And the lance is of course a lance weapon, which means I believe, was it +1 to wound on the charge? I can't remember. I think it's +1 to wound on the charge. But it is 5 attacks, so they got their 5 attacks, which thank God, otherwise people would be burning this datasheet in the streets. Weapon skill, hitting on 2s of course, and then strength 7, AP 2 damage. So that's basically Guardian Spear on a bike with +1 to wound on the charge. So that is basically what we expected, and that's what it is. So these guys do not get deep strike. Arguably, maybe they don't need it, but they do not get deep strike, whereas all the infantry did so far that we've seen. So there we go. So that means, yeah. And then here are their abilities. So turbo boost. So unfortunately, their stock, I'm on a bike ability of auto going 6 when you advance, is taking up one of their slots. It's taking up their slot for on all the time rule, which kind of sucks, but it has to be somewhere, I guess. Unless not all bikes have this. Now, I don't know. I don't know if people have seen other Jetbike data sheets and seen is this on all the Jetbike things like it is in the current edition, but their ability is that when they advance, they can go 6 extra inches. Okay, all bikes have it. So yeah, all bikes get kind of gypped. Okay, and then Quicksilver Execution. Once per battle, so this is kind of spicy. Once per battle, after you end an advance, so you have to have advanced, and if you passed over an enemy unit, one enemy unit, excluding monster and vehicles, and you moved over that unit, you roll a d6 for each model in this unit. So I think that means the bike unit. So because it says once per battle, after this unit ends an advanced move, you can select one enemy unit that you moved over, then roll 1d6 for each model in this unit. It's such bad English, very unclear, but there's precedent in other rules that are written like this. So this unit meaning this, the original this unit, which is the bike unit. So if you had 5 bikes, you would roll 5d6, and for every 2 up, so very reliable, you do 2 mortals to that unit. So that's pretty sweet. We have never been able to do mortals, and so a bike unit zooming over something, doing mortals is really cool. Now, of course, they can't shoot, but as we've already seen, maybe the shooting you're not missing too much. And they can't charge as far as we can tell, and I highly doubt that the Blade Champ can join a unit of bikes. Well, we don't know that yet for sure, but it's probably unlikely. We have hope that the Shield Captain on bike maybe gives us something like that. But, so they would be stuck, but they could do a bunch of mortal wounds. Now, Unit 3 bike's only going to do up to 6 mortal wounds, so it's not, at the end of the day, super impressive, but it is an interesting ability. 4-up save, and the other thing you notice is there's no more bike or jet bike. Keyword is now called mounted, and then they are fly, so they have to go around runes or measure top to bottom, no going through or ignoring the vertical distance, and so that's a little bit of a sore spot for jet bikes. Okay, so overall, it's hit or miss. I think people are most disappointed by the stat line, and maybe secondarily disappointed by the salvo. But the salvo is, to be honest, that is what we would expect from being Melta, basically. Just don't call it Melta. Actually, it doesn't have the Melta rule either. But yeah, so that's bikes. Now, it's really going to come down to how many points they are. If they're still crazy expensive, then I don't think we're going to see too many bikes. And they'll go back on the shelf. If they're competitively priced, we may see some unit, maybe. Like, we still need that speed. Now, if Venatari still move 12, then now there's serious competition there, especially if they go to 2-up save, and depending on their shooting with the little pistols. But, we do need that mobility, so, we have to keep that in mind. So we'll have to see. Okay. So those are the data sheets leaked today. Obviously, the Alaris one we've talked about a long time ago. Now, there was one thing put up in the Discord as a rumor, and so this is unsubstantiated, and in my mind, actually, the rumors seem like either just confirmation bias of what they've seen in other units, and so let's just make the rumor up so it's consistent, so confirmation, or kind of stuff that we already have. So take this with a grain of salt, but apparently this is about the Forge World units. So Sagittarium have basically a heavy bolter profile, so strength 5 minus 1/2 damage or something like that. But they get devastating wounds, so that's an unmodified 6 wound, what will cause 2 mortals instead. And they get sustained hits on 3 shots. And there's no Adrathic profile, and we don't know what they're hitting on at the moment. We don't know if they're heavy or not, so take it for what it is. Sagittarium would, if they could double shoot like the Guardians, that would be sweet. And then again, we don't know what the Shield Captains do. Okay, the next rumor is that all the Dreadnoughts move 6 inches instead of whatever 8 or 9 that they move right now. And so I think that's in check with all other Dreadnoughts moving slower. So again, could just be confirmation bias, maybe not real. The Achilles does mortals on the charge. I guess, sure. I mean, if you have to pick an ability for that Dreadnought, that makes sense. Galactus is -1 to hit, which it already is right now. So, but its shield may be maintaining the -1 to hit instead of just giving it an extra wound. The generic Contemptor Dread, I guess, is the same as the Marine one. Okay, sure. Again, just literally stating the confirmation bias there. All the Dreadnoughts are T9, and the Telemon Bertha T12 -1 damage. So, I mean, it has -1 damage now, and T12, I mean, just pick a T. So, those are the rumors right now. Take it for what it's worth. We'll just wait, I think. And, yeah. Okay, so if you got questions, guys, put it in the chat. We are going to go to questions right now. Okay, there's a bunch of questions here. Let's go. Okay, the first question is, bikes, why? Question mark. Well, that question is not clear. Why take them? Why don't take them? Why did you wreck them? So yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, the next question is, are we doomed or not yet? No, I don't think so. We know like less than 30% of information across our faction and across the whole game as a whole. We have no points and we have no missions. So I don't think you can really say anybody's good or bad right now. It is just information. Process it, store it, and put it all together when you get it all. Question on the chat. Do you feel Custodes are just outclassed? No, I mean, no, we don't have enough information. I don't know how people can, make these judgments right now. Okay. Leaked data sheets. Yeah, leader abilities. So yeah, we don't have the shield captain, and people are withholding information. So we'll have to wait for sneaky leaks, but really would like to see a shield captain data sheet. Any of them, the foot guy, a Lars guy, or the biker cap. I want to see. We don't know if they're all going to be the same or they're all going to be slightly different abilities depending on what they can lead. That would be cool if they were designed with their lead unit in mind. But yeah. Question from the chat. Given all the current rumors and info, what one unit is the best? I really like the Wardens. And I like the Terminators, which is cool. I think if we can get by with no Forge World, I would be so happy with that. Because the Forge World continues to be a pain in the ass. Even with a brand new wipe clean edition change, they still can't do what we all want them to do, which is just put it all together. So annoying. But yeah, I'm liking those two units. Actually, I sneakily like the Blade Champ. I might have to paint mine or just leave it plastic. I'm so off painting. Okay. Next, bikes how, bikes who. Okay. Blade Champ 2+ armor finally. Yes. Best unit to lead. Well, I mean, we don't have all our units, but I think he would fit equally well into the Terminator unit if he's allowed to lead a Terminator unit, because he can deep strike them in and give them reroll charge. And so that's pretty sweet. He would do well with Guardians. Of course, they could deep strike in a reroll charge as well, but also him advance charge and all their rerolls. I think that's pretty sweet. Heroic intervention strat for free on any of our units is good. So I think we might see multiple Blade Champs. Again, it's going to depend how many points he is, and what the captains do. So those are the factors that we really don't know about. So we can't really make a judgment, but yeah, I liking the Blade Champ. Forge World tanks, best guess stat line. Oh gosh, who knows? I don't know. I will hope that Caladius is going to be a little bit tougher. The Palace is probably going to be like T9 or something like that, right? Like a Rhino, maybe even weaker than a Rhino. Like Melta's going to kill the Palace. Really, we need the Accelerator and the Blaze. We need the Blaze to be good anti-vehicle. Otherwise, we're using Land Raiders with las cannons, which we could do. But yeah, that's the best I can get. I'm hoping everything still hits on 2s. Probably, it's going to be similar wound levels, saves, OC 5 or 6 probably. So I think it's going to be similar, but what is hard to know is what the weapons are going to be. Okay. Questions. Okay, what should bikes cost now? That is a hard question because we don't know what they're doing with points for everybody. Has everything just gone up? And so we were going to be disappointed because all our units went up, and so we're going to have less units than usual. I don't know. I wouldn't pay 95 points in the current context, obviously, for the bike right now, but that makes no sense to put it in the current context because the datasheet is not the same. So if you use this current datasheet kind of in the current context, it would be like 80 or something like that. But it's hard to know. Like, it's really hard to put a points on it without knowing how much Guardian costs. If we knew how much a Guardian costs, then we can extrapolate from there. If we knew how much one thing cost, we could extrapolate from there. So, yeah. Should we mix sword and board with spear or take a unit of one or the other? Well, we don't know if you can mix sword and board. Presumably we can, but we don't know that for sure because we haven't seen the back of the datasheet. Having one dude with an extra wound that does no damage, does it really help you? Maybe, maybe not, probably not. Having 3 extra wounds in the unit of 3 guys maybe helps you. Maybe there's a strat for Sentinel Blades or Storm Shields that, I don't know. It's hard to tell, but yeah, it's kind of hard to know, and we haven't seen what our enemies are bringing, so it's hard to know for sure. What does the bike have need to offer bikes to make them appealing? That is a great question. So increased mobility, advanced charge, fallback in charge, some mobility to offset the loss of mobility. It's the shield captain's not going to give you extra wounds or anything. Reroll hits, something like that. I think it needs to bring the mobility back to make them, sustained hits. I don't know. It needs to bring the mobility back that 2 inches took away. Yeah, I think. Is Vexilla worth it? So we kind of talked about this. It may be worth it depending on circumstance. It may not be worth it depending on unit size or what you want that unit to do. I think it's not an auto take for sure. I think you got to think about it carefully, which is great because most of us don't have too many Vexillas hanging around. I have 2, so I don't want to take like 1 in every unit. Okay. What are you wanting to attach the Blade Champ to? I kind of want to attach him to everything, as we already talked about. I think he fits well into everything. He obviously can't go with bikes. So yeah, right now I kind of want to put him into everything without knowing what captains do. Trajan gets 1 unit and then the rest is up for grabs. What are you wanting to... having seen more stratagems and enhancements over the last week, what do you think we are likely to get for each? So I haven't really read a lot of the stuff that has come out for the other codexes, so I've got to catch up on all that. I mean, I was at the spa today, so but I think what I want to see is, like, I want to see Tanglefoot in its current iteration pretty much unchanged. I want to see maybe a Vexilla relic that gives your Vexilla something different to make it nice. I want to see even a Praetorian plate might be nice still. Like, if we see some of our strats replaced that were good, it might be good. Will we see the return of Stooping Dive? I don't know. Heroic is kind of like that now, but bikes can't do that because you can't join the biker camp. No, yeah, you could. You could use the Heroic on the bikes, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, what do we... next question is the same. Okay, Hurricane Bolters for clearing chaff. Yeah, the problem with Hurricane Bolters is that they lost half their shots. So actually, you're not going to clear that much chaff and only at 9 inches. So they definitely got a lot worse even at just clearing out guardsmen. Like, half as good. So even that was not great. How many sword and board versus spears in a guard squad? We answered that. Benefit of Blade Champ, we already said that. Will we get Sanguinor style Praetorian plate enhancements? I don't know. Maybe. Could. We could. Can you hit up Winters and tell him, is it all over? Get him to leak the rest. No, I don't really know Winters. Otherwise, I would have asked him earlier this morning when I found out about the leaks. More seriously, with Guardians being OC2... 3 at the Vex, Sisters as backliners again, especially now that they aren't as all or nothing compared to their old instrument. I don't know. I don't rate Sisters. There's a lot of indirect fire. I wish they get rid of indirect fire, but they have not. And Sisters are just a liability. Again, it depends on how many points they are. If they're super cheap, like 40 points, then sure, there's no harm in that. If our points are the same as they are now, where you have very little granularity, so you're always like missing 50 or 60 points, there's nothing to do with that at the end, then you might end up taking Sisters to help you with that. But I think it's gonna depend on points. Do you have concerns with our ability to hold objectives? Not right now. I mean, without all this stupid OBSEC wars that's been happening, I got OBSEC, you got double OBSEC, you got triple OBSEC, I remove your OBSEC. Without all that stuff happening, back to the basic, just add up your OC numbers. I think we are pretty good, because if you're that close to us, we're probably gonna kill you. And then also, we do have the option of Vexilla, which does basically increase our objective holding ability by 33%. So I think it's not going to be so bad. But of course, we haven't seen missions yet, so it's hard to know exactly. But yeah, I don't have any particular concerns right now. Okay, guys, that is the show. Thanks very much. Hopefully, we're going to have more shows as the edition approaches, because we get more information. So stay tuned. And thanks very much for watching, following, subscribing. Thank you for supporting the channel. Check out ccbb.ca for all the updates on CCBB. Buy your tickets, and everybody have a good night.